Hi, everyone, and welcome to Inside AWAI. My name is Rebecca Matter, and I'm joined by Katie Yeakle. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, everybody.
And today we are talking about writing projects that you can complete in a weekend that are worth at least $1,000. So I put the $1,000 plus writing projects. We're going to dive right into today's topic. I'm super excited about it. Pam Foster is also here. She's our Director of Training. And she's in the Q&A as well because she is very well versed in all of these projects. So if you have any questions along the way, she will be there to help. But really, I just want to dive in. Our goals for today, I want to touch on the keys to your success as a copywriter because this ties into the reason why we created this session today. You know, AWAI, it's not about like how to get rich quick as a writer. That's not our thing. These are all real projects, so they take work. But the idea behind this, it ties into your key to success as a copywriter. So I want to touch on that. I will actually give you a checklist for choosing the quote-unquote right project if you're short on time, which most people, I'm guessing, if you're in this session, it's probably because you're like, yeah, I could really use some writing income over the weekend. So if you're short on time, how do you choose those projects? How did I come up with my list? And then we'll actually go over 5 projects that are worth at least $1,000. Most of them are actually worth more, that can be completed in less than 16 hours. So that was my guideline, if you will, or my limitation for when I was evaluating different projects. When I say a weekend, it meant 16 hours. So let's say you have a few hours each night. You could do it over the week in the evenings, but the idea was it had to be less than 16 hours. And then finally, how you actually get started. Okay, so let's talk about that whole key to success thing that I started with. You know, when we talk about copywriting at AWAI, before you even meet us, when you're reading our sales promotions, when you're reading our editorial, before you even get to this conversation, typically we're talking about the 6-figure career, right? That's what most people hear about when they first hear about copywriting, this idea that you can make more money than most doctors, which is true. As a copywriter, you have a skill set that can make you a 6-figure income. We have tons of success stories of people who are doing it. What we don't think about, even though we say it, what doesn't come to mind for most people, or maybe it even does, is that you have to be working at it full time. It's very rare for someone out of the gate to be making 6 figures working part-time. So when we talk about it, that it's a 6-figure opportunity, right away our brain says, okay, that's a career change. That's a big thing. Like I have to make this decision, right? It's not I can do this on the side and make 6 figures, and it's like, do I actually want to be a copywriter? Do I want to change careers? And that can be overwhelming for a lot of us and cause us to basically stop the progress. Even though we want it, it's such a big decision, it feels a little bit overwhelming. Because many of us, when we first get started, maybe just want to moonlight as a copywriter. Maybe I love my job, and I just want to do copywriting on the side. Maybe you want to prove to yourself that you can actually make money before transitioning to freelance. I think of one of our success stories, Ed Gandia. You probably have heard of him if you've been around us for a while or are into the business-to-business copywriting. He was a father and the sole income provider and had to replace a 6-figure income. So for him, making the leap and jumping right into a big career wasn't an option. He had to replace the 6-figure income before he could actually transition. So for many of us, we want to prove that, yes, I can make the money on the side, and I will feel confident in my decision to leave my job. So there's that. Some of us just want to make a little money on the side. One of our other success stories for money-making websites, her name is Holly Hannah. She just wanted to be able to take she was a stay-at-home mom. She wanted to be able to take her daughter to mommy and me classes without feeling guilty about asking for more money when, it was kind of her job to entertain the kid all day and her daughter, and she wanted to be able to go out and not feel guilty. So she just wanted to make a little money on the side. So she came to us and thought, okay, how can I write and make a living without, I'm not looking to make a living, really. I just want to make, $500, $1,000. And then finally, maybe you just want to try out copywriting, right? Like you just want to see if it's even worth, or if you even like it. And that to me kind of summed up this session for today. Yes, we all want to make, $1,000 in a weekend, but that wasn't my intention. It wasn't supposed to be this like, yay, $1,000 in a weekend. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But I'm hoping that this will answer the problem if any one of these bullets describes you. If you're somebody who just wants to moonlight, if you want to make sure that you can make money before you transition, if you just want to make a little extra money on the side, or you just want to try it out and you really don't want to commit, these assignments are going to be great for you. But full-time, spare time, part-time, however you slice it, your success as a copywriter is determined by how you spend your time. And I just want to touch on this before we get into the projects, because it's such an important thing for all of us to recognize, whether we're going for the six-figure career or we're just doing this for a hobby or doing it on the side. There are four key buckets when you think about the time that you spend as a copywriter. There are four key buckets. One is going to be acquiring the skills, right? If I want to be a B2B copywriter or I want to write websites, I have to have the skill first. So part of my time is going to be spent building my skills. The second bucket, obviously, is going to be then honing my craft, right? I'm always going to be building my skills. I want to offer more services. Just because I offer websites, I also want to be able to offer emails and maybe search engine optimization, maybe social media, maybe white papers, maybe newsletters. So I'm going to be acquiring skills because once I get a client, I want to have more skills, more services to offer them that allows me to make more money from each client and not have to worry about getting other clients. So that's the skill building, but then I have to get better at it, right? I started with the AWAI 13 years ago. I've been writing ever since. About 2 years into my career, I said, I want to live the writer's life. I want to be a copywriter. And so I went through the courses, I went through the accelerator program, and I had my first work published. And I was so excited back then. It was good enough to publish. Fast forward a decade later, and I am embarrassed at the stuff that I wrote 10 years ago just because I spend every single year honing my craft. So a percentage of our time is going to be on practicing and getting better and getting stronger and faster and richer, like just as a better writer. So that's part of your time. Third bucket is going to be marketing yourself. It's one thing to have really good skills and be a great copywriter, but if we don't have any clients who are willing to pay us, I always say this, then it's a hobby. It's not actually a money-making option. It's not a business. It's not a career. It's just a hobby. So we have to spend some percentage of our time marketing ourselves. We've done a ton of Inside AWAI webinars on ways to market yourself. So if you look at that square and say, well, great, that's what I need to be able to do, we've done tons of webinars on it. So definitely go back to the Inside AWAI landing page and check those out. But you're going to have to spend regularly, every month, every year, some time marketing yourself. And then finally, last but not least, it's actually working with clients, right? We're going to spend some of our time every single week doing client work, doing the actual projects that our clients are paying us to do. Now, if you're just starting out, you might eventually, in your mind, you might have thought, well, once I have client work, the other three buckets go away. I don't have to build skills. I don't have to hone my craft. I don't have to market myself anymore. But it's simply not true. This is what your life will look like for the rest of your copywriting career. You will always be building skills. Bob Bly was on a webinar with me a few months ago, and he said, for the pro, school is never out. I'm still blown away today at how much he is in tune with what's going on in the industry. And he said, Rebecca, I'm not going to stop learning. Yes, I've been doing this for 35 years, but I can't stop. I have to keep going. You want to keep building your skills. You want to be a better writer, always. From here on out, guys, no matter how good you are, Clayton Makepeace is still becoming a better writer today because that just means more money, more freedom for you, right? The better you are, the faster you can write, the better results your copy will get. It's in your best interest at any given point to be improving your skills and becoming a better writer because it will be worth more to you in the long run. Marketing yourself, even when you have clients, you want to keep marketing yourself because you don't want to leave all your eggs in someone's basket to allow them to make the decision. What if they say, you know what, we've decided that it's time to move on. You don't want to have that void. You want to have other people who've been asking you to work for them so that you can easily replace one client with another. And you want the ability to trade up, especially those of you who are just starting out right now. You're going to land clients right now. You're working with people right now. You're going to want to move on to bigger and better things. Kate and I talk about this a lot because we train a lot of copywriters. We bring them in-house, and then they move on to bigger and better things just because they have bigger opportunities. Once they've worked with us for a few years as in-house writers, the world wants them. They know that they can make way more money if they work for a larger company with much bigger revenues. So they continue to market themselves even though they've landed what they would consider a dream client at the time. 3 years from now, that might not be your dream client anymore. So you continue to market yourself to show your value and put yourself out there so that you have options. Options are a wonderful thing in life to be able to never feel like you're tied. One of the big draws of the copywriting career is that you're not tied to a job, right? You're not thinking like, do I really want to work here for the next 20 years? you have options. If that relationship, that work-relationship goes sour, you can move on to something else, or you're just tired of the thing that you're writing about. You have the choice to move on. So it's a big part of this and something that I hope everybody embraces. I know that it can feel scary, but we have a lot of tools, we have a lot of resources, and like anything, once you start doing it, you won't be afraid anymore. It's kind of like swimming. If you've never swam before, you can read about swimming, and it can make a lot of sense, right? But until you actually get in the pool, that first time could be scary, the second time could be scary. As you start to learn, maybe you get water up your nose, that's kind of scary, kind of hurts, you know, you're dealing with that. But eventually you forget, you know, it becomes so natural to you that you just swim. You jump in the pool and you swim and you don't think anything about it anymore. You know to breathe out of your nose and how to hold your breath, and it becomes natural. Marketing will become natural. So if anybody is feeling like, oh, I hate that bucket, trust me, if you just do it, just jump in the pool and start trying to swim, it will eventually become very natural and you'll really like it in the end. It's so nice to know that you have the power to go out and change whatever you want, whenever you want. So I really encourage everyone to embrace marketing. And then finally, like we said, client work. You know, it's all about, are you working efficiently? Are you working effectively? Are you a good researcher and a fast writer? And can you focus when you're working on a project? You can always be improving that bucket too, that client work. Are you working in one niche to make it easier for you to work on your assignments? Are you writing the same types of copy projects so that you become faster and more effective at them? These are your buckets from here on out. But what if you're limited on time? So I've showed you 4 buckets, and you're like, well, great, I only have 12 hours. So I have to divide up all my time. That means I only now have 3 hours in each bucket every week. How does that work? And that takes us to this session, which is on choosing the right project for your situation. I'm assuming the majority of the people who are here, there might be some of you who read it and said, yay, $1,000 in a weekend, and had that like get rich quick idea, which that's fine, because we're gonna deliver on that, so that's okay. But I have a feeling a lot of you, it's because you're limited on time. And so the thought is, I have a weekend. If I can make $1,000 as a writer over my weekends, man, I'm going to be in a much better position to be able to transition out of the life that I'm in right now, or to make the money that I want on the side. And imagine if you do $1,000 project every weekend. I'm not saying you should just give up your whole life and work on the weekends. Maybe you do it in the evening, but that's $4,000 of income, of writing income every single month. And for many of us, that's a potential game changer, right? That could change our life. $2,000 every single month. For some, $1,000 every month would be a game changer, just as far as alleviating some of the stress or giving us more options. Like Sherry Caldwell wrote in the Q&A at the very beginning that she just booked a trip to Mexico this weekend. Sherry, if you don't know her, she's actually on our case study board, has been kind of on fire lately. And so the fact that she's treating herself to this makes me very happy. So high five, Sherry. But she said, I could use an extra $1,000 this weekend to help pay for this trip. That $1,000 can mean a lot to a lot of us just because it gives us options. So how do you choose those right projects? And now this takes us to, how did I come up with these 5? What was our measurement? And this will be what you'll start to build these tools throughout your career. You'll start to figure out the filters of how you evaluate options. We talk a lot about bright, shiny objects, right? How do you identify if an opportunity, a client, a program, a webinar is right for you? Is it a bright, shiny object, or is it right for you? We teach you how to develop a filter or a lens that you can look through to evaluate it. So it's always about, what do I need? And in this case, I looked at it from the perspective of, I need projects that are high value, that do not take a lot of time. So right now I'm honing and I'm creating a roadmap for somebody who has this situation. They only have evenings, they only have weekends. How do they approach copywriting and make a great living? So this is my checklist. The projects had to have a short learning curve. That means that you can be up and running in a matter of a couple of weeks. So it's not like, learning how to write 31 different project types or understanding direct response copywriting. I mean, that takes a little more time. You can't get through that in a week. I can teach you how to write an email, like a project type. Are you going to be better at that if you have the direct response persuasion under your belt and you have that foundation? Absolutely. And you're going to bill at the higher end of the scale because you have that. Your copy is going to be more effective. But as far as the learning curve of learning a project, I can teach you how to write a case study in a very short amount of time. I can teach you how to write an email. There are things that so you want to have that short learning curve for learning a project. We want projects with high demand that companies are, and I've got one that's going to break this rule, but in general, You don't want to have to persuade people the value of these projects. So we're looking for projects that we can learn quickly and that are already popular and in demand in the industry. So people are already looking for them and excited for them. Companies are looking to hire. When you call them up and say, I specialize in this project type, they already know what it is and they want it. They understand the value of it. The fees need to be at least $1,000 because if you only have a weekend, yes, you can make $1,000 writing 10 $100 articles. However, the time for you to acquire all of those projects and do all of those assignments, because they're likely going to be on different topics, that's going to take you longer. It's harder work for you. So I wanted something that it was a short turnaround. You could do the assignment. It was high value, so you got paid really good for your per hour rate, and the project could be completed. So that's that last check mark. The turnaround time is under 16 hours. From the time that you start the project to the time that you submit the final, and many of them are even less than this, but that was my limitation. The cap was I cannot work more than 16 hours because I don't have the luxury, because I only have 16 hours a week, I can't write a sales letter that might take me 80 hours to write. Because for me, it's going to take me that, or even 160 hours, however much it takes. For me, I can't work on it all day. I can't work on it full time. I don't have the luxury of letting a project drag on. And to be honest, I don't want to right now because I'm really looking to see, is this for real? Can I make good traction and make good money in a short amount of time so that I can keep moving on to the next and the next and the next? So that was my checklist for choosing these 5 projects. And with that, let's go ahead and start. 5 projects that pay at least $1,000 and can be completed in 16 hours. We ready? Drum roll. The first one is case studies. This came up. I actually have a story to tell you. We were at the Web Copy Intensive, which was a very, it's our focused event for web copywriters. So it's something that you will do if you're going down the web writing path and you're like, yes, I'm totally in, then the Web Copywriting Intensive is going to be for you. It's a hands-on learning experience where you're working with copy chiefs who are editing your copy and giving it back. You're really learning the whole web marketing cycle and learning how to write all the different pieces. But someone in the audience stood up and said, random question, what's something that you would pay me $1,500 to write? Like, totally caught me off guard. I had no idea. I was like, and immediately the first thing that popped in my head was case studies. And that's what kind of prompted me for this session as well, that, there might be some other, what if we could do it in a weekend? And then it became kind of and my brain kind of took off with that. But I said to him, write a case study. That is something that is worth $1,500 that you could do right now and that I would be willing to pay you for. So this is an example of a case study. That is Steve Coombs, one of our success stories. But it is, you see it, it's got a headline. It's a little bit longer than this. It's about a page and a half. But a case study, if you're not familiar, is a short story that describes how a company or organization solved a challenge with a product or service. Now, our example, we're using people who solve the challenge with one of our products or services. But in general, somebody overcomes a challenge, and the case study is about the results of what solving that challenge were. So this is where I was. So in our world, a case study might be I needed a new career where I wasn't working 80 hours a week. I took the accelerated program, became a copywriter, and now I work from home working about 30 hours a week, and I get to be with my kids and travel 2 months of every summer. That's the transformation, right? That's the challenge. The challenge was I was working 80 hours a week, and now this is what my life looks like now. And it was all thanks to this product or service. That's what a case study is. It's a real success story. So instead of me just saying to you, a potential buyer, my program is so great, it's changed the lives of all these people, a case study like digs in. It's like a testimonial blown way up and actually tells the full story. What was actually happening before the product or service was consumed? What challenge were you facing? What was the product that helped solve it? And what does your life look like now? Or in the case of a business, what does your business look like now? In other words, it's that before and after, right? Just a quick little before and after story. That's what a case study is. Here's why case studies are great. Case studies, clients need them throughout the year. You cannot just publish a case study about Sherry Caldwell's awesomeness and then that be it, right? I can't just publish a case study about the Acme Paper Company and how they love our binding products and that be it. because the minute that story goes out, it has a shelf life. There are new clients or new potential customers who will come back that I can use it for. But what about all the other customers, all the other leads that have not purchased or have not moved forward? I can't keep sending them the Acme story. I've got to send them a new story. And I have to show them depth and breadth of stories because they might not be having the exact same challenge that Acme had. There are multiple challenges. And every time a good opportunity presents itself for a company to demonstrate what they can do or their product or service, they want to get it out there. It's almost like the old days of like the press release. This is something that's great that's happened in our company. But this is so much better because it's not them saying it. Their customers are saying it. The people who purchased the product are telling their story. So they need them throughout the year. They have to keep on publishing them. The demand is super high. For those of you who are not familiar with B2B, business to business, that's when one company sells a product or service to another company. The demand over there on content-based marketing. There's not a lot of selling going on. There's not a lot of direct response sales in B2B. It's much more content-based. Here's another example of somebody in the challenge that they overcame. Here's a white paper. Here's a special report on this. Here's an ebook on that. It's a lot of content because the purchases are usually much higher, you know, thousands, tens of thousands, millions of dollar decisions. And so it takes like 12 to 16 times pieces of content to get somebody to make a decision before the sales rep can actually close the deal. So content marketing is huge in B2B, and case studies are one of the most effective content types. So there's a huge drive for content, and you've got a content type that is at the top of the totem pole. So that's where you want to be. So that's a case study. And one client can need a lot. Ed Gandy talked about one client who needed 50. Like it was we hired a case study writer a year ago, and she's already written 40 for us in the last year. If you go to our homepage, and this is under, if you click on testimonials and you scroll on the case studies, these are all examples of case studies that we've written. And when you click on them, it will open it up into the full-blown case study. Oh, look, there's Sherry Caldwell. She's actually on the call right now. You guys could go read Sherry Caldwell's
funny
case study. That is very funny. But those are great examples of case studies, and we have already slated 27 more potential case studies that we want written in the coming months to the coming year. So imagine our case study writer, like she's at home, and we said, hey, want to write some case studies for us? And she's like, sure. And so we started doing it, and then 2 days later, she wrote a case study about case studies on her website about our case study usage. And now it's like, hey, here's 27 more that you could write. And here's the cool thing. Remember I told you the demand, right? And I told you she's already written 40, and she's about to write 27 more. Watch this. The length is 800 to 1,200 words. That's like an article, okay? The time it takes is 5 to 8 hours because you have to research. You have to interview the person. You got to uncover the story. A case study writer is like a journalist. They're trying to find out. They can't just say the generic, like the story I gave you. Oh, he wanted a new career. He took the 6-year course, and now he has a better life. He lives the writer's life. All those people on the case study page have had that story. They're all living the writer's life, but the story detail is what's important. They're all so different. We can't have 50 case studies saying the exact same thing. So your job as a case study writer is to interview and to be like, it's cool. It's like you just get to talk to success stories. You get to talk to people who love the product or service that you're hoping to help the company sell. So it's like, it's amazing, and they're excited to share it with you. They want to share the information. And so your job is to dig and find the story, like what makes it compelling and interesting and engaging and could potentially move somebody to make that buying decision. But check out the fee, man. $1,250 to $2,000 for a case study. So if everybody has a calculator, you can do the math. You can figure out how much money we've already paid to our case study writer to do those projects. That's $200 to $300 per hour, right? As far as a journalist goes, they're not making $300 an hour to write an article, right? That is well over, I think it's 2 to 4 times what journalists are making right now. But yet this is a project that you can complete. You can do 2 of these in a weekend. With my 16-hour rule, you could actually do 2 of them. You could land 1 client and say, I'm going to write 2 case studies this weekend, and write 2 case studies next weekend, and 2 case studies the weekend after that. Amazing, right? Like case studies is one of my favorite projects. So I am going to include the resources in the presentation. So if you decide that you want, we don't sell you in this. This is not our job right here right now. Is more to educate. We're not trying to sell you any programs, but I did include the resources of the training programs in our catalog, just in case you want to go and learn more about. If you are like, yes, I want to write a case study, We have a great program on writing case studies, of course. If there's an opportunity out there to make money as a writer, you can bet your bottom dollar that we're going to have a program on it. That's our job, right, to find the opportunities and then have the experts write programs instructing our people how to do the job and also how to get clients. As an aside, our promos are great resource tools. I've said this on other webinars as well, but whenever we provide you if you're just like we say, white paper, lead gen piece, social media, and you're like, I don't even know what that job looks like. Like, what is that actually? If you want to basically put together this kind of presentation or have this kind of explanation, read our promos for our programs. 80% of them are solid research. It's, what the job looks like, how much time is spent, how much you can expect to make, who the clients are, how to land them, how the project is being used. You can use our promotions just for research tools. Even if you don't need to buy the program at that point, you can use them just to learn about the various opportunities. So you can learn about writing case studies with that link. And all of these links will be active. We will post the recording, and they will be active in the PDF of the slides as well. All right. I'm going to take a quick drink. Let's move on to number 2, e-newsletters. So this one, everybody knows their newsletter is for the most part, but e-newsletters, their job, and when I talk about the e-newsletter in this presentation, I'm talking about professional service providers. So the chiropractor, the dentist, the veterinarian, companies who, either service owners or companies who have a clientele that they need to stay in touch with. The job of a newsletter is to position them as the expert. Like, I'm your veterinarian, here's why, let me give you these tips. I'm the expert. You're comfortable with me. Whenever you have a problem with your dog, you know that you can come to me because I'm proving to you continuously that I understand I understand veterinary medicine. Now, business owners will also use them, or small to mid-sized businesses will also use newsletters to stay in touch with clients. But it's millions of companies out there interested in who need this. They have a job to do. So the veterinarian is not a writer, right? The chiropractor is not a writer. They have a business to run. So they need to stay in touch with their clients, and they need to write to them, but that's not what they do. It's not in their best interest to go and write a newsletter. They should be doing the thing that they're trained to do. So that's why they need newsletter writers. They want you to position them and their company as the expert, but they don't actually want to do the writing for that. So the job of a newsletter is to do that and then transition prospects into customers. So people who have said, I'm interested in your service, but I haven't purchased anything yet. The newsletter is to hopefully move them towards feeling comfortable to buy or make an appointment for the service, and then to turn customers into repeat buyers. So you've already purchased from me, you've already brought your dog in, whatever the thing is, I want you to keep coming back. So I need to form a relationship with you. I can't call you every week. I'm your veterinarian. It's not like, hey, Rebecca, what's going on? It's your vet. Just want to see how your dog is doing. The newsletter, it keeps us engaged. It keeps us connected so that I will come back and buy again or take my animals there and continue to go there instead of going somewhere else. Here's what I love about e-newsletters. Companies cannot stop spending once they start. If I tell my clients, every Tuesday you're going to get a newsletter from me, I can't 1 week just say, you know what, I'm not going to send it this week. I can't just say for a month I'm going to take the month off. Because if I do that, when I start sending again, people are no longer used to seeing it. So they're either going to mark it as spam or they will stop reading it. It's got to be a continuous conversation that happens at the interval that you promised. If you tell me you're going to send me a monthly newsletter, I need to get a monthly newsletter because that's a trust thing. You told me you were going to give me something every single month, and now you didn't. So there's a little bit of like a break in trust, and now next time you send it, I'm like, so companies can't stop. So I love that because once they do it, again, the veterinarian isn't going to want to decide 6 months down the road, you know what, maybe I will write the newsletter. No, that's not their job. That's not what they do. Usually they're weekly or monthly, which means what I love about this one has like a bonus. I didn't include this as a reason that I had, as a reason something was chosen, but it's a bonus reason for this one is that it means ongoing predictable income. You can write a newsletter in a weekend, but that client that hired you to write the newsletter most likely is going to need one either every weekend or every month, which means you can count on that income again and again and again. We call it's a retainer deal. And what that means is predictable ongoing income. I hire you to write a newsletter once a month. Every single month, I'm going to expect to pay you, and I'm going to expect to receive a newsletter from you. It's like a contractual deal. It's in place. You never have to worry about asking me, hey, Rebecca, do you know a newsletter? It's already in place. You're going to write it. You're going to get paid for it. And let's look to see what you get paid. The length of a newsletter typically is about 1,200 to 500 words. Max is usually about 8 hours per client. This includes like talking to the veterinarian, what's the latest thing you want to talk about, researching the industry, seeing what's being talked about, and then actually writing the newsletter. And the fee is typically around $1,000, but can go as high as $2,000. Typically, it's determined by industry, like length. You know, it might be slightly longer, and complexity of the topic. Are you talking about a prosthetic knee and potential surgery and things like that, or are you talking about the latest herb, and I'm totally flying by the seat of my pants here, the latest herb that's being used by your chiropractor to deal with inflammation, right? It depends on the complexity of the topic. So e-newsletters, great project. You can do it in a weekend, and it's an ongoing thing. And if you want to know more, there's the resource there. All right, Katie, I'm going to hand it over to you now for key message platforms, which I'm sure everybody is like, what is that?
Exactly. You're probably wondering, oops. This is that one exception that Rebecca mentioned that your prospect may not have heard about yet. Honestly, I hadn't, and like I said, many of your prospects may not have heard about them, but in the case of AWAI, as soon as we did, we're one, sign us up, we want one, and in fact, we commissioned the writer who did our key messaging platform to actually create a program to teach others how to do it, because we realized the value that it had for us. And now we recommend them to our colleagues. We recommend them as a document. It's an internal document that touches really all aspects of a company's business. Specifically, it is a very detailed document that contains all the relevant marketing messages and statements about a product or service. So that means the company's USP, how they choose to address their customers, the things that they know that their customers are looking for, what their core values are. You know, all of these messages that need to be consistent and apparent in all of the communications. They're rarely more than 10 pages. And like I said, these are documents that are used amongst all of the marketers and writers and people who are involved in communicating. The big value is they help ensure a consistent message, which, you know, is critical. They save the marketers, the writers, really everybody involved in a project, time, money, because you're not having to constantly repeat or rework or retrain. Everybody has the same talking points. Everybody is on the same page. And like a lot of these projects that we're talking about, it rarely is a one-off deal. For instance, there could be a key message platform for the company in general. Then it could be for individual products within that company. And you're going to find this is prevalent in a lot of these projects as well. They often lead to additional writing projects. For instance, when you're doing as you do your key message platform, you may find that the company doesn't have this kind of page on their website, or you know, you're going to uncover things that could be missing, and that's a great opportunity for you to say, hey, I know how to do that for you. I can help you out. So you want to go to where your clients are looking for the information and where your clients are servicing their customers. That's where these key message platforms are needed and are most useful. Like I said, they're typically less than 10 pages. They don't have to be that involved, but the parts that are in there are really critical. They typically take 10 to 15 hours, and you can earn between $2,500 and $4,000. You can learn a lot more about it at this link. And like I said, we were so impressed and we were so motivated to spread the word about this that we actually created a whole program on it. Rebecca, were you going to say something?
I was going to add, because I forgot about this part of the story. Casey Demchek, who you're talking about, he actually created this. And he created it because he was finding, he was from this like high-tech area of B2B where he charged a lot of money for his copy project. So his case studies, his white papers were worth a lot. He charged really high ends, more expensive than what we're talking about here. And he was running into small businesses who couldn't afford his rates or said that they couldn't afford his rates for case studies and white papers. So what he would do is say, well, let me do this for you. I'll do a key message platform for this price because it's going to take me a lot less time. And then you can give it to your writers, your marketers, and then they can write all the projects that you need. They can write your websites. They can write your emails because this is all I can give you. At this rate, this is my per hour rate, so this is what I want to charge. I'll do this key message platform, and then you can hire everybody else. So that way he was able to, instead of just him saying, I can't help you, he was able to, so he developed this key message platform, which is literally like just a stack of copy that says, here, this is how we say our company's name, here's our story, here's how we talk about the product, blah, 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 here's the success stories, you can pass it off. Now what would happen is that he would send this document out, and they would say, yes, great, and then they would read it and say, oh my gosh, he's so much better writer than our writers, and then all of a sudden the budgets would appear. And they would come back to him and say, that's great that you did this key message platform for us, but now we actually want you to write the copy too because we know it would be so much better. So he actually ends up getting double work from all of his clients. So just thought that was interesting.
Yes, thank you for that background onto that. And that's what we found as well too. Not only did Casey do the platform for us, but then he became one of our go-to writers as well. So it definitely works that way. There's a level of trust that happens when you are helping companies in this way, when you're helping them craft the messages about what's so important to them. So that's another thing to think about as far with that. Number 4, just like key message platforms, this one naturally leads itself to multiple projects. And these are site audits. And, every company these days has a website. But not every company is sophisticated enough or has the manpower, the resources, or just the time to actually know if it's doing what it should, if it's performing as well as it could, meaning, is their site showing up in the search engines as high as possible? Is it actually bringing in the business? Is it doing the job of connecting with the people that find it and then bringing them in? So if you could go in and do an audit for them, how great would that be? Another thing about companies' websites is often the owner or the marketer or the publisher, the person intimately involved with it is so attached to it. They've really put a lot of their heart and soul into it. So a lot of times they may not actually see what could be missing, but when you come in with a fresh pair of eyes, you can uncover things and make dramatic difference very quickly. It really is one of the most, kind of quick win type of projects for both the writer and for the company. And it's beautiful. And I'm so happy that we have Pam on our call with us because Pam is an expert at this, and this has been a big part of her career, and she actually put together a program for us. So, Pam, do you want to just jump in for a minute? I know I didn't prep you for this, but I know this is something that's so close to your heart. And
yeah, that's fine.
Tell us what some of the responses have been from the audits that you've done.
Sure. Well, first of all, clients, when they call you and say, I need web copy, you dive into, what prompted that call, and you talk to them and look at their website with them while they're on the phone. And they'll say, well, we're not getting anybody to click on this, or we're not getting, our competition is beating us on Google rankings, and we're not getting where we want to be, but we don't know why. We're not sure what's wrong with it. And so it probably has a lot to do with the messaging and how it flows, and how there, might be a call to action or not, or might be a strong offer or reason to engage with that company. So I created a checklist to go through a website, for a client, and this is looking at the copy, not technical stuff. But a lot of the reasons people don't stick around on a website is because they don't read what they are looking for. They don't see what they're looking for. So then I offer to do an audit, and I'll say, why don't I take a really good look at several of your pages with my checklist. It's like the Midas 21-point muffler check. It's different things that you have to have on your site for it to work well and for people to respond. So I take the checklist, and I sit down and I go through their website, and I have all these things like take the phrases that customers might have been using in Google search to find that type of website or product, and then you'll see what shows up in the Google rankings. And if the client isn't showing up at all, okay, well, there's a clue. Their copy on their website may not have those Google search phrases in them. Like, let's say we're looking for tap dancing shoes. I'm making that up. But if your client is a tap dancing shoe seller and they don't have that phrase on their website in the right places, they won't show up in Google. So you're like, there's one clue. So I put together this whole worksheet system that you can use to identify those problems, and then you provide a report to the clients, and you don't tell them how to fix it. You just tell them what the issues are and the opportunities, and then of course they have to hire you to make all the corrections, and that's a separate project.
Well, and you don't quite put it that way. They don't have to, but it would certainly be wise of them, and you present it in a way that you understand what the problems are, you know how to fix it, and you have the skills to do this. And Pam, I love that example, because it's such a simple thing, and when you know what to look for, it just these issues just appear before you, and then when you present it to the website owner, it just leads into these other areas so nicely, and plus it really helps them. They will see the impact of these changes, directly at their bottom line. And again, it's fun for if you're the type of person that kind of likes these kind of challenges, likes puzzles, likes doing detective work. It's just a very satisfying and gratifying way to spend a weekend. And as often is as the case, you are the one that fixes the problems for them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like being Sherlock Holmes, and you have a detective hat on, and you're finding problems for the clients and offering solutions, and then, of course, they love you for doing that, so they're going to hire you most likely. Yes, it's a great way. Good. And just this little snapshot here. Typically these are about 10 to 13 pages that include screenshots. So you're actually going through their site, capturing it, and pointing out what the issues are. This can be done 8 to 10 hours. The more you do, the faster it gets. And typical fees are $1,000 to $2,500. So again, a very great payday for relatively, easy-ish, fun, engaging, automated type of work. So now we're going to move on to the fifth opportunity that we're presenting today, and that's sales funnels. And just to put this in an overview, sales funnels are email series that are highly effective. They're automated. They are triggered automatically. And it's all about keeping new customers moving forward, as well as helping previous buyers learn about new products as well.
these are all part of relationship building, which every company needs. Every company is striving to do as well as they possibly can. These are personal emails. They're engaging. They're typically not real long, and they occur at the time the prospect or customer takes some kind of action. So, for instance, if somebody signs up for a free report, then they get an email, then they get another one, and they get another one. And these are all about, like I said, building relationships and just moving the person further into the company, into the opportunities available. Same thing, but it would be a different funnel for somebody who has actually bought something. Again, they get a different type of message, but it's all about continuing the relationship and moving them through the steps to where you want them to be. Sales funnels are, you know, they're just like as critical as a website. They're as critical. They just are a must-have. They're wildly popular. Whenever we go to any of the meetings that we go to, there's always talk, there's always presentations about how to do these well, what's working, how to keep up with how these are evolving. The beautiful thing is they are automated. So once an action is taken, they just happen automatically. And so you write it once and it's kind of set it and forget it. The whole goal is to improve the customer experience. So this is something that business owners appreciate and want and value. And there is the opportunity to get paid 3 different ways with these types of projects, because there's 3 levels to it. First, there is designing the whole funnel. And again, this is if you're strategic, if you like these kind of, you know, puzzle type elements of our jobs, which to me is very fun. And that's, you know, actually picturing and the steps along the path. And so you actually design the funnel. That's something that is of value and is a kind of in its own bucket. Then, of course, you can always write the copy for each of those steps. Those typically you could charge between $300 and $1,000 per email, depending on complexity and experience and all those things. And then once these are in place, they always need to be tweaked. They need to be optimized. And that, because you want to go in, once you have it working, then you want to say, okay, well, what if I tried this subject line or this headline or this offer? You want to always be tweaking and improving. So that is an opportunity for you as well. But you can stop at number 1. You know, that could be plenty. That could be very fulfilling. And then add these others as makes sense for you. Again, Ryan Dykes really, I wouldn't say he invented this whole thing, but he certainly perfected it, and he's certainly on the cutting edge of it. And we have a great program that shows him walking you through this whole process, all 3 steps of this. And that's something that, if this is something that excites you and interests you, you can learn this. You can learn this in a weekend, and then you can start doing it in a weekend. So now that we've talked about the 5, and even as we're going through this, Rebecca, I'm thinking of a few more, so we may have to do an update on this as well, because there really are, once you have these skills, there's so many different ways to apply it, and so many of these kind of quick wins that will be available to you. But what we want you to do next is think about these different projects and who the potential clients are. If you've started figuring out, you know, what niche you want to be in, and if you haven't, we have a great Inside AWAI webinar that can help you do that. But once you are in that neighborhood you want to be in, start thinking about who the clients are you'd like to write for, and start looking to see if they offer any of these projects. And if not, there could be an opportunity there. Even if they do, there's still an opportunity there for you to come in and help them do better. I wouldn't start with all 5 of these. I think, you know, pick one to get started, but you know these are here. You can either switch or you can always add to, but, you know, we always try to steer people away from that overwhelm effect that can happen. And you do need to get the skills. Most of these, like Rebecca said, can be learned relatively quickly, even if you don't have the deeper background, the deeper foundational skills. Like, for instance, the site audit. As long as you know what to look for, you can do an audit. And once you learn the skills to write the pieces that they need, that's an add-on as well. As always, getting the skills is one thing, but then you actually have to apply them. You actually have to start writing. You have to start doing this. And then make your weekends profitable, and maybe we can all go to Mexico with Sherry. How's that? How about that, Sherry? I think that's all we have. Although I see we have lots of questions, and you know, this has been a really fun presentation for us to do, and I think we will do more on this topic alone. But I just want to thank everybody, and I'd love to answer some questions.
There are some prioritized. I'm just answering one for Brenda right now. I guess I can answer it out loud. It says, are sales funnels equivalent to drip campaigns? And so the reason we left sales funnels for last and didn't go too much into detail, Ryan does a great job of showing you all of the pieces. So the way, like, I think of a sales funnel is, you know, you buy something and then you get this email. If you buy something else, you get that email. It's like this automated thing. She's asking, are sales funnels equivalent to drip campaigns? A lot of words in marketing, it really depends on the person defining them. So this is a big problem in marketing, and it will be a problem with your clients. Is one person might say it one way, somebody else might say it another, and they mean the same thing, or they mean something totally different, and they're using the same word. For me, so I'll tell you our definition. Sales funnel is always moving someone towards the next action. We're trying to move you forward towards another purchase or to consuming the product that you just purchased, that you are experiencing the benefit and not just leaving it to one day maybe get back to it. So a sales funnel moves you forward, whereas a drip campaign is usually something where we are slow dripping something. So let's say we promise you 10 tips. We're going to give you 1 tip a day. We're going to send you an email each day that drips out the fulfillment of the thing that you signed up for. You sign up for a free e-letter, or you sign up for a free service that was going to walk you through 7 steps to build your website. Each day they're going to send you 1 thing. That's called a drip campaign. They're slowing down the content so that you don't get it all at once, whether that's to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed, or it could be to build engagement so that you're used to hearing from them every single day. But that's typically what a drip campaign is called. So Pam is actually working on a glossary for AWAI of all the marketing terms that are out there. So this is coming at the right time.
And just another terms that Jack is asking, terms that get intermixed and used by different ways, by different companies. Jack's asking, are sales funnels autoresponders? And yes and no. You know, autoresponder is something that is sent typically when a customer takes an action, and they are automated, and sales funnels follow that same process. Sometimes autoresponders are used more in terms of when a purchase happens, and sales funnels are talked about more when it's either a request for more information or a sale. But they're all kind of in the same.
It's all the same.
They're all cousins. They're all kissing cousins.
If you just think about the word, so a lot of times with marketing words, just think about what it's saying, like autoresponder, right? It implies that you took an action and an email automatically kicks back to you. So an autoresponder email is an email that kicks back based on an action, but technically a sales funnel is full of autoresponders. Each of those emails is an auto response that is sent based on an action that you just took. So you might sign up for a free report, right? And then you get an automatic email, an autoresponder that brings you the report. And then the next day, you might get a sales email or something else, or something that asks if you read the report. And then the next day, you might get a sales piece. If you buy something from that sales piece, it might generate, it tells the system, send them the other autoresponder sequence, the one that says, hey, thanks for purchasing the product. Now we're going to want you to consume the product. Whereas if you didn't purchase it, you would stay in the initial sales funnel full of autoresponder emails that would still be trying to get you to then buy the product. If I can do like a visual for you guys at some point. We actually have the CVO training, and someone was asking about CVO, what that means. It's customer value optimization. So what that's saying is when you're talking to a client, and again, if this interests you at all, if you're like a game player, like you like games, and you love the idea of like moving something, I wish that you guys could see me because I'm doing a lot of hand gestures, but if you like the idea of like moving this little thing over here and seeing what happens to the end result, like what if I tweak this? What if I do that? What does that mean at the end of this long line? Just think of a funnel, right? All the stuff moving through. What happens at the end of the line? Sales funnel people, CVO people, customer value optimization writers are creating a puzzle, like a funnel, a series of events that are going to happen, almost like, what is that Rube Goldberg machines? Like you push something and it hits this and it hits that and it hits that, and it moves on and on and on until finally the cage drops on the mouse or whatever the thing is. It's kind of like that. You construct this thing, and then you tweak this email, you tweak that offer to see if it makes the customer value higher at the end. Your goal as a funnel writer is to increase the value and member experience or customer experience of that person. You want the person to consume, if someone buys something, you want them to consume it to benefit. If you are a company who believes in your products, like AWAI, we want you to experience the benefit. We don't want you to give us your money for the accelerated program and then not come back to it, right? That doesn't help us. It doesn't help you. We want you to consume the product because if you're a good copywriter, that makes our job easier. It's cliche, but if you succeed, we succeed. And that's how companies think with sales funnels. How do I get people to continue moving down the path to get to the transformation point that they are hoping to get to? It's the reason that they came to us. The reason they bought the supplement was to feel this way. How do I make sure that they either buy the supplement or continue to take it so that they actually benefit from it, so that they become one of our success stories? And that's what a customer value optimization person is. A CVO expert is someone who creates that puzzle and then writes the copy for it, possibly, or you could stop just at the construction, but you could write. So it's like the CVO expert does the blueprint, and then the people come in and build the house. You can choose to build the house if you want to, or you can just start at the blueprint, and then the CVO expert comes in, just tweaks here, tweaks there, and gets to just continue to improve everything. It's like the coolest job because it never ends, right? A sales funnel, you don't put in 30 emails and you walk away. There's always something to be done. There's always something to tweak, to optimize, and that's what a CVO person does.
Getting quite a few questions about what's the best one to get started if you don't have any experience, and can these projects be done without having any experience? My answer to that is these are a great way to get started and to get experience, but I highly recommend having the skills associated with the particular project type so that you understand what's involved, what's expected, and you can speak that language. So you do need some skills to do these types of projects, but these are skills that are relatively easy to learn, and there are opportunities to break in and get started. Although I always recommend our accelerated copywriting program because it does give you the foundation for any type of writing and the insights and strategies that make direct response work, which everything that we do is all about direct response. And I will say one. Oh, go on.
Just each of the, yes, the answer, I mean, you can do any one of these things. If you're brand new and you've never written anything before, one of the rules that we have or requirements for our programs is that it has to be comprehensive from A to Z. If you've never written anything in your life and you want to write a case study, you take the case study program. It will show you every step that you need to write a case study and feel confident in the language, how to actually write them and do the work. Plus, every single program that we ever put out has to have getting clients. So the people that we bring to teach our stuff are not only really good teachers, they're working in the field doing what they're teaching, and they understand the client part. So Ed Gandia, for example, writes a case study program. It is A to Z how to write a case study, and then he also talks about how to get clients. Michael Katz, big guy in e-newsletters. He wrote the program. He also shows you how to get clients. So when you finish any one of these programs, you will be able to do the job. You don't have to take another program to learn this specific project. Now, at the beginning, what Katie was saying, if you take the accelerated program first, that's where we recommend most people start, because you will be better at everything that you do. You will be a better case study writer, a better newsletter writer, a better key message platform writer, because you understand the end game. You understand what they're trying to accomplish, and that is to persuade, to show people the solution that they're trying to solve, right? That's what persuasion is all about. That's what direct response is all about getting them to take an action. So if you understand that, you're going to do better and you're going to make more money. But could you do any one of these things if you're just starting out? Absolutely. And that's what the programs are about. They're A to Z plus getting clients.
Let's see. I don't know if we have anything else here, but they're great comments. What an engaged group. Thank you all so much. This makes it so much fun to do these.
So Phil's question about what is the difference. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go on.
I still see more questions. Maybe we're looking at Phil's question is the difference between designing the funnel and writing the copy. Designing the funnel is saying when person A requests the report, send them these 3 emails. If they don't buy, send them these 3 emails. If they do buy at any point along the way, send them these other 3 emails. So the architect is saying, here's what the emails should look like. It's almost like a flow chart. If they take this action, you move them here. If they take this action, you take them there. If they don't take an action, you continue them here. And so the architect is putting together that plan and what each of the emails' job is supposed to be, which they can then hand over to a copywriter, or they can write themselves. And the copywriter then has to actually write the emails. So that's the architect, that's the first part, designing a funnel versus writing the emails that are used in the funnel. So hopefully that helps.
Great. And I saw a question in here, and I can't remember the person. Oh, Kathy's asking, what if the client doesn't have an autoresponder capability? Well, what's your answer, Rebecca? I know my answer.
You can go ahead and answer. I mean, I would hire somebody if I wasn't comfortable doing it. I mean, you can learn it.
But if the company's not capable of doing it, they probably aren't the best client to have for you at that point. If they don't understand the value and can't figure out how to get that done, then I probably would look for a different client. But hopefully, once they understand the value of it, that they'll figure out how to get it done. It's not up to you to figure that out, but there's plenty of people that they could hire to help them do that. Or, you know, ways, depending if they're small enough, ways of accomplishing what a sales funnel will do for them.
Pam, there's one in there for you. If you can say, Roger, he's a newbie. If I approach a customer to do an audit, how do I identify myself? Do you want to answer that verbally?
Sure. I usually say, well, when I talk to people, and this happens all the time, I just went to this local meetup of business people, and they said, so what do you do? And I said, well, I make websites work better. And they're like, what? They get very excited, and suddenly that opens the door, because as a copywriter, that's what I do. I make the websites work better. You know, I help them bring in more sales and better responses and better rankings. So that just gets people excited. And then I follow up with a question like, so how is your website working for you? And 9 times out of 10, there's a story. It's either outdated or it's not working. And so then we start the conversation and get going.
Awesome.
I mean, how great is that? I make websites work better. You know, sign me up for that. I want that.
Where can we go to search for copywriting jobs when we are just starting out? We did a whole bunch of sessions on this. If someone can grab the links and post them under Amber's response or question in the Q&A, We've done sessions on how to research for jobs. We've done sessions on how to bring clients to you, which is called inbound marketing. But if you're just starting out, it doesn't really, it's no different. The answer is really no different. You're still going to have to develop your marketing message, put up a LinkedIn profile, put up a website, identify your clients, and start reaching out to them. That is the basic process. And again, we have full-blown webinars that talk about this, so I recommend everybody go to Inside AWAI. But again, for those of you who are asking about the programs, do they teach you how to get clients? The answer is yes. Remember, everything that we showed you, every resource teaches you the skill side and the getting client side. It would be very rare these days for you'd have to get to an old program and to maybe come across one that doesn't have getting clients. But everyone is very specific with who uses that project type and how you find and land those clients.
Oh,
thank you, Jane.
This is a funny question. Brenda's asking, is it common practice for businesses to hire their customer or patient? In other words, would my vet hire me to site audit their website, or my dentist hire me to do their e-newsletter? Pam's saying do one for your site first.
No, that was an answer to something else, and I was just I don't know how to move it, but I can answer that because I do trade with my veterinarian, my accountant. I know of someone else who does trade with their fitness center because for example, my vet, when I lived in another city in Florida, I would do all their marketing for them. I updated their website, I did their e-newsletter each month, and they would take care of my dog, and you know how much that costs in trade. So I was basically getting free veterinary services for a few hours of my time each month. And go ahead.
We certainly follow that practice at AWAI. All of our writers, really all of them, and dozens and dozens of writers that we work with have come up through the ranks, are our members, are people that have taken our programs and are now successful copywriters. So from a company's perspective, there's really nobody better than a customer or patient that believes and has helped and is an advocate to be the voice, to be their copywriter. That's a real plus in my book.
Man, guys, I love you guys. This is like the best.
Lots of love.
I love Inside AWAI. This is just so awesome. Making sure we haven't missed. I'm interested in travel writing and I've taken the Ultimate Travel Writers course and created a website. What's next? That's Great Escape Publishing. They should have tons of content on how you actually seek out. Yeah, start marketing yourself. And they have resources and materials on how to actually get assignments. I would head on over to Great Escape Publishing.
Send out query letters, make sure they're persuasive, and offer a solution, and are engaged, follow all the key copywriting rules, and offer to do some of these projects for travel sites that you like. I mean, how great to do case studies for travel sites. That would be a lot of fun. How great to do a site audit, or any of these things. These skills that we talked about, these projects, apply to every niche, to every type of business. There's one of these five, probably 2, 3, 4, or all five, every business needs. So there's not a line between this is only for these type of businesses. Whatever you're pursuing, whatever you're interested in, there are opportunities for you there.
Man, you guys, this is great. This is I can't type fast enough. Should I finish the accelerated program before looking into learning potential weekend style writing? If you're in the accelerated program, I do want you to continue on.
Yeah.
Oh, and I will, yeah, I do. I want you to continue on. I will give you guys a little heads up too. We're about to have a summer sale. I think it starts next week. So if you're looking at any of this stuff, if you were like, I got to do it right now, maybe call member services at 866-879-2924 and ask them, say, Rebecca said that there's going to be a sale next week. Can you tell me how much this program is going to be? Or wait, I don't want you to wait, because if you're excited, I want you to do it And if, if we have a discount next week, we'll, of course, honor that discount. But we are having a huge, nobody knows about it, so please don't share it. It's just right here. But it's a huge sale. For those of you who don't know, it's our 20th anniversary this year. So we are going to blow it out, and everything that we sell is going to be on sale. So definitely look out for that. I think it is next week. But finish the accelerated course. Yes, that was my long answer.
Good. Okay. Well, happy anniversary. Thank you. It's flown by, and the most rewarding 20 years I could ever imagine.
Katie is one of the founders, for those of you who didn't know that. She was back on day one, so it has literally been 20 years for her. When trading services, just don't screw up your heart surgeon's website.
I love that one, I have to say.
You guys are so funny. How long are job postings left on direct response jobs? We take them down if the client tells us to take it down, that they've filled the job. A lot of times we'll leave them up, though, because you don't know if that copywriter works out. And also, that they typically hire freelancers. And so it's always in your best interest to reach out to them anyways. If you find a job on direct response jobs that you love, I encourage you to still follow up. You have no idea what happened since the last person was hired, or if they need more. And we just filled our in-house team. We had to refill it because our in-house birdies were ready to fly out of the nest. So we hired new in-house writers, but even they're not able to keep up with our demand. So we are now also building an in-house team, or a freelance team. And so that could be the same thing. All of our people who applied to the in-house ad that were not willing to move to Del Rey, or maybe they weren't the number 2 people who were chosen for in-house, we're now going to go back and give them an opportunity for the freelance team. So direct response jobs, I have to say, it's our fault. We don't promote it very much internally. We don't really talk about it. I don't know why. We created it for you all so that marketers could come to you directly, and we would not be, because we're not an agency, we don't want to be a middleman. We want to make it fair. You post your jobs on direct response jobs, our writers will come. And I get a story every week. Like, I got my first job, it was on direct response jobs. And I wish we talked about it more because you get access to it. For those of you who are in the accelerated program, you have access to the job board for free. It's a free service. And we are posting jobs there every single week. So definitely check it out. It's a great research tool, too.
And Tim, good job on Tim. He's had 3 aha moments, which he says is typical for these Inside AWAI. Good job, Tim.
I just wanted to mention something.
So happy.
I'm seeing some questions in chat, and we really don't see them in there because that's for the technical stuff. So if you have any more questions and you want to get them answered while we're here, please put them in the Q&A section, because then we'll all see them. Just a little housekeeping note.
We appreciate you too, Samantha, and everyone else.
I did see this one in the chat. Does your team consist of students, contributors to AWI only? Ironically, like 99%, every now and again, we'll have someone like a Richard Armstrong or a Clayton Makepeace write a promo for us, but 90% of our copy is written by AWI trained copywriters, and we met them through systems like that, through programs, through submitting spec assignments. I'm like flying through my head right now. Mindy, of course, who runs the Barefoot Writer, who does a lot of writing for that. She came to the accelerated program, came to boot camp. We met her. She submitted spec assignments. She's on her way. Joshua Boswell, many of you know, 10 years ago, he came to the accelerated program. Heather Robson, who runs Wealthy Web Writer, she's one of our main writers. She came to the accelerated program. Charlotte Crockett Hicks, who runs BB Writing Success, AWI member, rose up through. I mean, it really is. Most of our writers are in-house writers now. Tim Matassa, he went to the Joshua Boswell tour last year, the launch event that's happening right now. I think it's in Toronto today. It's happening in Denver next week. And I think they're opening a virtual option for next week as well. He was there last year and has been showing us his stuff, submitting spec assignments. We just hired him. Candace Lazara submitted a spec assignment. Now she's writing a promo. I mean, it really is. It's amazing. All of our main writers. We could
spend the next hour just naming names.
Pam Foster.
Pam Foster.
I was just going to say that. 12 years later.
That's so funny.
Oh, and here's a fun question. This is from Robin. who is in the UK, and how do the principles and resources you refer to translate to the UK and Europe? Well, first of all, what we're teaching is universal, and there is direct response, direct marketing happening everywhere, and even companies are so international these days. So what we teach applies everywhere. And I love that you're in the UK, because we're actually in negotiation to possibly do an event over there pretty soon, you know, hopefully within this year. So that could be a great opportunity for everyone who, you know, can't make it over here for some more in-depth live training. So stay tuned, Robin. We'll let you know. But to answer your question, even, you know, word choice might be a little different, the way phrasing and the communication style, but the principles are the same. Okay.
Do you see very many Christian copywriting? Yes, that's actually a huge opportunity that, you know, a lot of people are interested in. If you go to our catalog and look for Christian copywriting, or if you look on our site for Christian copywriting, you'll actually find a webinar that we did on that topic. So, and again, like all of our programs, shows you who the clients are and how to get them.
Yes. Oh, Nicole's congratulating us on our 25th. Well, it's actually our 20th. Although the way time flies, I'm sure it'll be 25 in no time. But that'd be great, 5 more years of success stories.
It's like we're all like a bunch of old married couples, like, feels like 50. Like, like we've just had so many good stories. And I'm not saying it like in a bad way. I just feel like we've had so many amazing stories come through this company. Like, Kate and I always joke, like, okay, if this is it, like, we want to keep going, but like, if for some reason this was it, like we have seen these writers transform from A to Z, and like, it's just mind-blowing. If you guys just spend an hour on the case studies page today, or whenever you feel kind of, meh, I don't know if I can do this, like read the stories. Like these are real people who sat here just like you one day, picked up a program, got something in the mail that said, can you write a simple letter, clicked on a banner ad that said, do you want to be a barefoot writer? And now have the life of their dreams. We always talk about, you know, money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you freedom, and freedom makes you happy. I heard Brian Kurtz say that, this major master marketer years ago at a boot camp, and it stuck with me. That's what we're in the business of. We're not in the business of teaching people how to make a lot of money. We're in the business of teaching people how to find freedom. That's what the writer's life is all about, and man, have we seen it in the past 20 years. It's amazing just how much has happened to this little company and to you all. It's incredible, and we hope to continue. I hope, you know, we always say this too, share your stories with us. We love to celebrate. Like this, everybody, almost daily now, it seems like one of us is getting a story and we share it with everybody, and everybody's jumping on and celebrating and virtual high-fiving and popping champagne, and it's just, you guys are awesome.
All right. I think
that's a good thing to end on.
Yes, I agree. Let's call it until next month. But the thing is, we do this once a month. So if you have any downtime, go back and listen to the ones we've done before. There's going to be a topic that's of interest to you. There's going to be something that you're wondering about, something that you want to know more about. We spend a whole hour on, just like we have today on this one. And, you know, we love to do these. This is a great way for us to get to know you guys. And so keep your eyes open, because there'll be another one next month too.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend. Katie and Pam, thank you so much again as well, and thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions or have any ideas for future, my email address is askrebecca@awaionline.com. Katie's is askkatie@awaionline.com. We're all on Facebook. You can find us there. But all these ideas usually come from you all. So tell us what you need help with. We have one in the works on a blueprint, you know, for those of you who really just can't get your mind around the steps that are necessary to go from wherever you are now to getting your first assignment. Like that, you know, how do you actually, you say I need to market myself, what does that look like? So Pam is actually working on a blueprint. That will be a future session. Let us know. Somebody asked about LinkedIn, so we did a LinkedIn session. whatever you guys need, we're here for you. So just tell us, just reach out. All right, guys, with that, have a good weekend.
Bye,
See you next time.
Have a good weekend. Bye.